Welcome back to the Bloodbear channel. This video will be reviewing Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Again, I watched the movie first and foremost, long before I read the book. And so there will be, I'm not going to mention the movie particularly in this video, but I might make another video where I do compare the book to the movie, similar to the How to Train Your Dragon video I did earlier. There will be spoilers, though, for the book, so if you want to go read the book, go read that first before watching this video. Anyways, with that being said, let's, I guess, just go ahead and jump into the first category here with the characters. I'm going to be talking about mainly 4 characters. There's obviously more than that. I'm not going to really be talking about Dato and Shoto that much. They come up in the plot, but for character-wise, they're not, I would say, as important. They're more of like side characters, so I'm going to be talking about the 3 pretty much that are main characters, and then the main villain of the book. So first we'll start off with Parzival. Parzival is named after is Wade Watts, who chose the username Parzival. Parzival is his username on the Oasis, which is like a massive MMORPG. And he chose to name Parzival because of, the story with the Holy Grail. That's why he chose that name. Now, Wade Watts is a very poor high school age kid. He's like a senior in high school at the beginning of the book. And he's very poor. And so he lived in a trailer. It's like a dystopian trailer park. So it's like trailers are stacked on top of each other, and there's multiple different trailer stacks. And he lives in one of those with his aunt, who basically only accepted him after his parents died, so that she could get more food stamps. Pretty much, it's the only reason why she lets him live with her. And yeah, that's pretty much his thing. Pretty much the only thing he does is, he repairs computers and sells those to pay bills, or he gets paid with food stamps and stuff. So he gets that. That's how he eats. He's able to eat. It doesn't make him enough to actually be able to do anything with the money or anything. But that's how he's not starving to death, And then he also, what am I saying? But other than that, he spends his entire time in the Oasis, because he goes to school in the Oasis, and he is what is known as a gunter, which is basically somebody who is hunting for a Easter egg inside the Oasis that was set up by Halliday, which is the guy who created the Oasis, and he set it up a hunt for an Easter egg that people can do, and if they find all 3 keys, then they can and unlock 3 gates. Then they find the Easter egg and get his shares of the company that runs the Oasis. So basically, whoever finds it gets filthy freaking rich. So he spends all his time doing that, and researching Halliday and the stuff, the 1980s, which is Halliday's favorite decade, and what people assume are what the puzzles for solving the Easter egg will be. And then we get to the next character, H. H is a chubby African-American woman in real life, but her character is a buff white dude for because of racism. And she's also a lesbian, but none of that is really important to her character at all. She's basically the most important thing is she's fellow Gunter, rival towards Wade, but they're also best friends. So they've been friends for a long time, and she's also famous within the Oasis for being a very skilled first-person shooter. Person that does first-person shooters, and she wins like lots of contests, and that's why. And so she's fairly well off, at least compared to like Wade. And then third up is Artemis. Artemis is again another Gunter, and she's Wade's romantic interest throughout the book. And yeah, she has her own blog and stuff that Wade reads and has a like massive cyber crush on her. And she is also probably the most knowledgeable person in the entire series about Halliday, because she was the first to find where the copper key is located, which took 5 years, by the way. It took 5 years to figure out where the copper key was located, with pretty much everybody in the entire world looking for it. And she found it first. Anyways, well, she found the location first. She didn't actually obtain it first. That was Parzival. Parzival obtained it first. But we'll get into the main story whenever we're talking about the plot. And then Sorrento, he's the main villain, and I actually think he's a fairly good villain, because, I mean, he has a very simplistic desire, which is money. That's his main desire. He's greedy. He wants the shares of that he will get for the Oasis that he would get from finding the Easter egg, so that they can put in ads and make access to the Oasis a membership, like a monthly expense instead of being free and stuff like that. But what also makes him a good villain is because he's just ready to kill people if they get in his way. Like, he's straight up just ready to kill them. And yeah, so I gave characters an 8 out of 10, mainly because of Artemis. She starts off decent, and then I do not like her towards the end of the book. Alright, next up, world building. I think the world building in Ready Player One is actually pretty good. It's like a dystopian future. It's like kind of light dystopian, because the world isn't like gone to crap and everybody's like dying. There's just a lot more poor people in the world, and there's nothing that can be done about that, because resources are running low. Specifically, fossil fuels and like oil and stuff like that are running low throughout the world. So other like jobs had to be shut down, and it's hard to power everything, and travel is getting harder as well. So now there aren't really any like suburban areas or anything like that. So everybody lives in a big city. So it's like a big city, and then on the outskirts of the cities there are some like RV camps, but like they're like stacks again. So like that, and then you have the Oasis, which everybody in the entire world kind of turns to escape from their crappy reality of everything running out. Instead of trying to actually fix the problem, they run to the Oasis, which is abundant in fake things. It's abundant in fake things, so it's actually all meaningless. Moral of the story. That is actually kind of the moral of the story, but it doesn't really get to be the moral of the story until like the very end of the book, which I think the movie does a little bit better. I will say this, I do like the movie more than I liked the book. But the book is still very good. And I'll probably make a video about, like I said, I'll probably make a video about that. comparison and why I think the movie is better. But yeah, and then again in the Oasis, we don't really get to see like obviously the entire thing because it's so big, but we get to see like a few planets here and there, especially whenever they're related to the to Halliday's Easter egg. Like we get to see Ludus, which is basically an entire planet that is just public schools, with each public school is separated though by like either mountain range, or forest, or like a lake or something like that. And then there's other ones. I'm not sure what the names of those planets are because I do not remember them off the top of my head. But I think we spent the most time on Ludus, and the rest mainly because we follow just one character throughout the whole book, and that's Wade, and was basically for like the first part of the book. For like the first part of the book, he was pretty much just stuck on Ludus because he didn't have the funds to go anywhere. Because another thing about the world is that the money, like the US dollar, completely useless now pretty much, and they only use like Oasis credits as currency. So Oasis credits are like real life currency now in the world. And then so yeah, so World Building got a 9 out of 10 for me. And then I guess we'll move on to plot here. I gave plot a 8 out of 10. And the plot of the book is basically, so we start off, I'm going to literally give it's a pretty big summary because I'm summarizing the entire book here basically. I got my bullet points up on the screen. So yeah, we start with like the first like chapter of the book is Wade, like an older Wade who's already won the Easter egg, telling his story of how, telling people, kind of informing of what the Oasis is, what the situation of the world is like, and then also about Halliday's Easter egg, and then how none of the depictions he's had of his story have gotten it correct, so he's just going to do it himself, is what he said. So yeah, and then after that we see his situation at like his home life situation, which is not great, and then we also see him like his aunt basically catches him on his laptop doing watching a show, doing research. Technically it is, but technically it's also not, because it's a show, you can enjoy it. But then his aunt steals his laptop, and then is like trying to get talking to her boyfriend about getting money for it, and then so he then leaves, goes to his secret hideout, which is like a van kind of buried in just a stack of abandoned cars. So yeah, and then he logs into the Oasis, waiting just for classes to start, because again he goes to school on the Oasis, and that's where he keeps all of his Oasis stuff. So yeah, and then he goes, and but before school starts, he meets up with H. They talk for a little bit, and then he goes and attends his classes pretty much. And then after 5 years of nobody finding a single, pretty much nobody knowing where to even look for the copper key, which is the first key that they need to find, Wade finally puts it together, the riddle, because in the last part of the riddle, it's like something about have much to learn, and it's in my opinion, it's very obvious that it was talking about literally the planet where it's all just schools. Much to learn at school. It's all just school stuff. Like, it's just that. And I don't understand how nobody else put it together. But then also, so he finds location by because he has knowledge of this D&D module called the Tombs of Horrors. So he basically read through that and scoured the planet for a what for like on the surface of the planet for what looked like the described entrance for that for the Tomb of Horrors as described in the D&D module. So he finds that, and then he goes into the Tomb of Horrors, goes all the way through it, and then meets the final like boss, which is like a lich. But it's not. He doesn't actually have to fight the lich, which is good for him because he's like a level 1. And but he has to beat the lich in a game of Joust, which is an old like arcade game, I think. Again, I'm not old enough to know this stuff, so that might be again, that's something I'll talk about in my video, if in a video I do comparing the book to the movie. So yeah, then he wins, he gets the key, gets a clue to where the gate is located, immediately puts it together, and is about to head there when he runs into Artemis for the first time. And he obviously not expecting that because he hasn't heard about anybody finding where the location of the key is. And apparently she has found it. She found it 5 weeks prior to when he finally put it together, but she just hasn't been able to beat the lich at Joust at all yet. And then eventually, another thing about this is that this hunt has it's like a point-based it's a point-based system, and whenever somebody gets like a key, they get a certain amount of points, and they get extra points for being first or second, all the way down to fifth. I think it caps out at fifth, so fourth place gets bonus points, but fifth doesn't. And the reason I'm saying this is because Artemis then, because he kind of lies to her. It's like, oh yeah, no, I couldn't beat him either, but I didn't die because I managed to kill him. And then she finds out because everybody's talking about it because the scoreboard on the website got updated with Parseval right there, and so he then has to kind of book it out of there. But she turns on his shield and stops him from going anywhere for at least an hour, and then he goes and tries to maintain his head start and goes to the planet with the first gate, which he can now go to the correct place and use the teleporter now because he got rewarded with credits for getting the from looting the Tomb of Horrors and stuff like that. So he then goes to a planet. I don't know what it's called, but it's a perfect recreation of Halliday's home childhood like town that he grew up in. And then Wade goes to Halliday's house into his childhood bedroom, and that's where the first gate is located. And he goes into the first gate, and again, it's another trial, right? So he, in this trial, he takes the place of a main character in a movie. I don't remember what movie it is. But basically, it's like a point system game where you have to say the correct lines, and if you say the correct lines, you're rewarded with points, and then if you say the wrong line, you're deducted with points, or I think if you mess up a certain amount of times, you lose. It was something like that. But also, if you do the correct delivery of the line, then you get bonus points for doing that as well. So it's basically, which would honestly be a great idea for training actors, right? Because I know you gotta pay a lot for acting classes, but if you did something like this for a video game where you just have to say the correct line and give it deliver the line in how you're supposed to deliver it, and reward with points and stuff, that might make better actors, Okay. Anyways, he successfully manages to get through that, and then quickly becomes famous for finding the first key and opening the first gate. And he gets then requests to use his image in commercials and things of that stuff. So he gets royalties and flow of income from that. Then after that, he was getting flooded with emails from the Sixers, which work for a company that is run by Sorrento. I wouldn't say it's run, but I don't know if it's run by Sorrento. I don't think he's the CEO, but he is like the head of a section of that's looking for the Easter egg. And so Sorrento emails Wade. They set up a meeting, and then they have a talk. He's trying to get Wade to join him. All the Gunters hate the Sixers because, you know, they're corporate and they want to ruin the game, right? So Wade, you know, tells him to go kick rocks, and then Sorrento is basically like, yeah, we know who you are. Yeah, you might think that you're secret, but we know who you are. We know you're Wade Watts. Here's an image of your house. We're going to blow it up if you don't agree to help us. And so Wade, thinking Sorrento is bluffing, but also he's not even there, so he's fine with it being blown up, because he doesn't mind his aunt being killed. But then he logs out, refuses Sorrento's offer, I guess, and then it takes a while. So he's like, oh, he was bluffing. He's not going to blow up the place I live. But no, a few seconds later, there's a big kaboom, and luckily, again, he's safe in his secret hideout. But his aunt and many others are killed in that explosion, because the explosion causes the stack to fall over and knock into other stacks, causing more to fall over and many people to die. So then after that, he sleeps in the hideout, because obviously he's very shell-shocked, and then he warns Artemis, H, Dato, and Shoto about Sorrento, and then buys a new identity off the black market and moves to Columbus, I think. It was either Columbus or Chicago, but I'm pretty sure it's Columbus. So then, for the next decent chunk of the book, it's kind of just Wade being lovesick for Artemis, and he gets completely distracted until eventually he and Artemis go to a party, a birthday party of Ogden Morrow, who was like Halliday's best friend, and he's not really competing in this competition at all, because the members of the company that run the Oasis are not allowed to compete at all. And then Ogden Morrow and Halliday also had a big falling out and haven't spoken in years, until Halliday reached out to him about him going to die and him setting up this whole thing, and he asked Ogden Morrow to make sure that everything runs smoothly, basically. Which we learn mainly towards the end of the book. It's like one of the last things we learn. Anyways, so then Artemis kind of cuts him off because he's distracting her from finding the Easter egg, and they don't really know anything about each other either. So there's that. So then Wade wallows in despair for a few months, until I believe Artemis finds the second key, and then he's trying to figure it out. Actually, he wallows in despair for a few months, and then he's actually trying to find the second key again. But Artemis finds it first, and then the Sorrento and the Sixers are able to locate the sector that Artemis was in, because of an magical artifact that they use that's in the game. And so they go to that sector, and that basically tells everybody, hey, the second key's in this sector. So then Wade thinks about the clue a bit more, goes to the wrong location, goes to this museum, video game museum planet, and inside the museum is this old pizza joint arcade that used to be in Halliday's hometown. And then in there he plays Pac-Man, gets perfect, he has to play a perfect game of Pac-Man, and then he's rewarded with a mysterious coin that gets added to his inventory. But then he realizes he's not in the right place because as he's playing that game, he sees in the scoreboard that H just got the key. H is nowhere to be seen where he is, so obviously he's in the wrong spot. But then after he leaves, H sends him the location of the correct key. Again, this Sorrento and stuff, and the Sixers use the same artifact to locate H and the planet that H was on whenever he found the key. So the Sixers are headed in that direction too. Wade manages to get the key before the Sixers arrive, but has to kind of fight his way to escape. And then, so he barely escapes. But then Dato and Shoto, who did not have that information, have to fight their way in, basically. And they kill the Sorrento and the IOI agents in real life kill Dato, whereas Shoto manages to get the key and escape. So yeah, and then after that, the IOI, which is the bad corporate company in this book, finds the second gate first and decides to be more discreet about it because all the Gunter clans attacked them whenever they moved to that place, you know. And they tried to not let anybody else in, but that didn't work. They got overwhelmed really quickly. So yeah. And then after they find the second gate, they also then find the third key and the location of the third gate. But they get stuck on the third gate and aren't able to open it. So then time goes by, everybody's kind of wallowing in despair because they don't know where, they can't solve the clues, and they don't know where the gate is. They don't know how to get there. And again, IOI and Sorrento are all keeping this secret so far until eventually Wade figures out where the second gate is. He gets that because it's like it's some sort of like device that's in the Blade Runner movie. So he goes to a building that's from Blade Runner where that device would be, and he opens the second gate and is able to clear it, which it was that challenge was like a test for Black Tiger. And I forgot to mention this, but to find the Jade key, which is the second key, they had to play like a version of Zork, which is like a text-based game. They had to play a version of that but it was like actually like you could see it. It wasn't like text, you know. And they could actually just move around in it and stuff without having to enter like text commands. So then he gets the clue after he beats the Jade Gate trial. He gets a clue to the location of where the third key is, the crystal key, and it's pretty easily, immediately, is able to decipher the location for that, which is like a planet that was made by an anonymous person, meaning Halliday, that represents a story that's related to an album by Rush. I don't know what the album is because I've never really listened to Rush. So, anyways, he goes there, he obtains the crystal key, but while he's doing this and increasing his score on the scoreboard, putting him at first place, the Sixers then fortify Anorak's castle. Anorak is Halliday's avatar's name, and use a legendary artifact, again, to shield the entire castle and keep everybody out. So then weeks go by, the Sixers still haven't been able to unlock the gate, but and all the Gunter clans are there trying to break this barrier, but nothing's working. So then Wade then has to come up with a plan, and he informs H, Artemis, and Shoto where the location of the Jade Key and the Jade Gate and the Crystal Key are, before he then infiltrates the IOI company by becoming basically indentured servant or a corporate slave. Because in this world, whenever, I guess, if you owe a company money, you have to work for them for free until your debt's paid off, which is never. So that sucks. But then Wade uses his, like, these, like, codes and backdoor access things that he got on the black market again to get into the IOI intranet. Instead of internet, it's intranet, through his, like, stasis hub, which, like, each indentured servant gets their own, like, little pod that they get to sleep in, so yay. And they have an entertainment console inside where they can use it to watch really crappy TV that IOI made. So then after doing that, he hacks into there, finds files on all the top gunters, which is him, H, Artemis, Shoto, and then Dato's file is also in there, but it has like a red X over it. And Dato's file, which is the last that Wade checks, has actually a video of people breaking into his apartment and killing him. So, yeah. And then it also has Artemis and Shoto's files. It has records of, like, it has their address, their real names, their addresses, and video feeds of their houses, as well as audio feeds of what they're saying inside their own house. And then there's also a message from Sorrento that just got sent to his higher-ups, talking about maybe kidnapping, like, then torturing and getting information out of Artemis and Shoto to see if they can't decipher how to solve this gate, how to open this gate, and then disposing of them. So then Wade downloads all of that onto a flash drive before just changing his clothes and walking straight out of there. They also have, like, these, like, earpieces, I think, that act as, like, cameras as well. So he has to take that out, and also his, like, ankle monitor. So he manages to get those off, and then he walks out the building. And then once he's out of the building, he goes to I don't know how you would describe this, but it's basically, I guess, like, in Japan, it's like an internet cafe or something. He goes to one of those where he can log into the Oasis, and then he warns Artemis, Shoto, and H about Sorrento. Luckily, Sorrento doesn't have any information on H, like, at all, and they also have no information on the current whereabouts of Wade either. So this is when I start dating Artemis, because he warns about that, and then about Sorrento and Sorrento's plans on kidnapping and killing both Artemis and Shoto. Shoto thanks Wade for the warning. Artemis is like, "You invaded my privacy. I can never forgive you for this. I can't believe you invaded my privacy, even though the information you got saved my life." So basically, she's a total bitch about it. Yeah. And then, anyways, they go, eventually relents. Ogden Morrow shows up because he has godlike powers in the Oasis, same as Halliday, and he can just appear in private chat rooms. So yeah, and then he promises to have them fly out into his estate, and then they all do that, and that's where H and Wade meet for the first time, like, in person. And then then big final battle happens. Wade also programmed one of the, like, drones that's inside where, like, the bubble to then go and blow up the person that's using the artifact to cast the shield, which succeeds. And so the shield goes down, and all these Gunters and our main characters then go and fight the Sixers. With Shoto gets killed by Sorrento, then Wade goes and kills Sorrento's avatar, but Sorrento can just use another one. So eventually all this stuff goes on, and Artemis, H, and Wade are able to open the crystal gate, and just as they're about to step in, they use Sorrento uses a what's called the Catalyst, which basically is just completely nukes the entire sector of the Oasis that they're in, killing everybody, including him. But luckily, that mysterious coin that Wade found was actually an extra life. So all his items were destroyed, except for like his legendary ones, which aren't very useful. But also the legendary items for other people are also still there. So he gets Artemis's boots of flying or whatever, and uses that. And he has to really hurry because these Sorrento and like IOI had other people that had like the keys ready, and they just witnessed how to open the gate. So he needed to hurry up and get in there before they showed up, right? Because they were outside the sector, so they didn't die from the bomb. So yeah, and then after that, he goes through the 3 stages of the Crystal Gate. The first stage is that they have to, like, similarly to Joust, like you have to play an arcade game and beat the high score. In this instance, it was Tempest, a game called Tempest. Again, don't know, never heard of it. And then, but this one I have heard of. The second stage I have heard of. They get put into like this another movie where you have to recite lines and stuff. And this movie is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is a great movie. And then the final stage is actually very funny because you actually have to know that Halliday was in love with Ogden Marr's wife, Kira, and that he only referred to her as her D&D character name. Because you have to enter that into a computer, which then turns on all the devices in the room, and then you have to play Adventure and find the Easter egg that's in Adventure, which again, I've never heard of that, but apparently that's like the first game that had an Easter egg in it. And then after that, so Wade completes all that, and Halliday's avatar, Anorak, gives his, all the will, his will and stuff will be given to Wade, and what am I saying? And Wade also inherits the godlike powers that Anorak's avatar had in the Oasis. And so, yeah, he also gives part of his company, his shares to H, Artemis, and Shoto, because he promised he would. And again, Artemis joked about not having his promise in paper, which is annoying and not funny at all, because they were in a hurry there. It's like, why are you even joking about this? We're in a hurry. So then he basically announced it to everybody. And then she's like, I was just kidding. It's like, well, we don't have freaking time for that, lady. So yeah, and then Sorrento gets arrested for the murder of Dado and bombing the stacks that Wade used to live in. And that's pretty much the end of the book there. So yeah. Artemis really fell apart for me at the end. She sucked. She turned into a total biatch. So yeah, that's the plot. For emotional impact, I believe is the next category here. I gave emotional impact an 8 out of 10 as well. Obviously, his aunt being exploded, in his home being exploded, pretty intense moment there. And then you also had more like of these tense moments, where like whenever he was leaving the IOI building, he had to sneak out, and then a lady stopped him and commented on the blood leaking from his ear. So he was very scared of that. And then you also had the race to finish the final gate, because Sorrento was right on his tail there for like most of the time. He was only like, I think, 9 minutes ahead of him until they got to the final room. So yeah. And then, but I did find some things really off-putting about this book, especially with Artemis. She just fell apart at the end, which was really annoying. Because pretty sure she's supposed to be a likable character, and I did not like her at the end of the book. So, And then there was, in the beginning of the book, it really mocks Christianity, which put me off a lot as well. I didn't like that. So that's. I was thinking about giving this a 7, but I settled on an 8, just because it puts me off. So I might, ignoring the mocking of Christianity, I would give it an 8. Including that, if I were to include that, which I'm not going to, because people are entitled to their opinions, I gave it an 8. Anyways, structure gets a 9 out of 10. It's a normal book. It's all in first person from Wade's perspective, and then it's paced well. It's chronological. It doesn't go in constant. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's chronological story. It's not like we're jumping from future to past or anything like that. So it's just chronological, and it's good. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. So with that, doing the calculations right there, the final rating would be a 4.2 out of 5. I enjoyed it. Disliked some parts of the story, but overall, it was pretty good. I think the film was better, but again, that's gonna be it for this video. So if you liked it, then please do leave a like and subscribe. That'll help me out a lot. And yeah, with that, I'll see you in the next one.